Alright troops, hope we're all doing well. As you can see, we are back on the road. And it's Bilko and friends, heading to Oban. Oban. Probably one of the finest resorts that Scotland has to offer. Based in Argyll and Bute. And it's absolutely stunning. One of the great things about Oban is you can get good beer, you can get good food, but you're also within a couple of steps from places like the Isle of Kerrera. You can get ferries to all the islands. You can actually hook up with friends that are in the marina. You can, and for us, it was kind of like going home because we've got a wee connection there. We've been up at Kerrera many times, and the great thing about this time was that we were going to meet a new friend to the podcast. So we've got some scenery in the background there. I do apologise in this video. We might go a wee bit Steve Marsh on your arse, but I don't apologise about that whatsoever. And by the way, if Steve Marsh can come to Glasgow and do the top 10 Glasgow pubs, I can go to Kerrera and I can do a wee bit about Kerrera. Check out Steve Marsh, good lad, so he is. So I've arrived in Oban, home of McCaigs Tower, home of some of the finest seafood that Scotland has to offer, home to the connection to the islands. Some local businesses advertised here, but you know something? We just needed to head to the town because we knew it was going to be good there. Coots Graphics in attendance. Thanks Coots Graphics for all your help in this video. But as you can see, we were so blessed. Canoeist in the harbour. Stephen Seagull, crap pun. Jeez, Oban Distillery, a big attraction, established in 1794. And the great thing about Oban Distillery is it is right across from probably, arguably, the best beer cellar in the Highlands. And it's the Oban Beer Seller. So it would have been rude for me not to bring this to you. And we've got a wee interview. Alright troops, how we doing? We've got a guest here up on our weekend in Oban, so just for the troops here, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yep, my name's Karen Lindsay and I am the Oban Beer Seller and this is my wee shop.
Fantastic, and it's a lovely shop, I have to say that, Karen. It's an absolute joy.
Thank you.
We've had a wee chat off camera and maybe have a wee chat about it. First things first, can you just tell us what Oban Beer Seller does and what you do here, Karen?
Well, I had an epiphany about 4 years ago where I decided I was just not happy in the job I was in at the time. I spent my life driving, and in my most dramatic moments I'm dying driving my car, and I just was driving back from Perth and the light bulb went on and I thought I quite fancy having my own little beer shop. I've always loved going into other beer shops, so I got back to Oban with a plan in my head and then started putting the plan into action. It didn't all come together, just exactly in that way, and there was quite a few hurdles along the way, and at one point I thought I was just going to have to put the whole thing to bed. But then on a local social media page, I saw that the lady who owned this shop, it was an old florist, was giving it up. And I thought, I wonder. And I walked up the next day and asked her if she would sell her shop to me, and she said she would. So I was like, okay, you hold that thought, because I didn't have the money in my pocket at the time. So anyway, scrambled around, managed to pull together what I needed, bought the shop, and then spent the next 10 months working my day job, but getting this place ready to be the way I wanted it to be. And then I opened the Friday before the first lockdown, which was not the opening I planned. There was no da-da whatsoever. It was just panic, blind panic. Opened the Friday, closed the Saturday, and just thought, what the heck. Threw it all onto social media. I don't have a website. It's still on the cards that I'll get one made. I think maybe this year that might happen. But literally just threw myself at the mercy of Facebook. Asked people to email me. My son put together an Excel spreadsheet with names and prices, no photographs, names of beers nobody'd ever heard of. But because it was lockdown, I think a lot of folk were just sitting at home not knowing what on earth to do with themselves, so the orders sort of trickled in. And it's evolved obviously over the last 3 years now. A lot of the breweries I started with I don't have now because they had to change how they did things, and they put their beers into supermarkets, and essentially if the beer's in the supermarket I won't stock it, because that's not what it's about. It's become very much about supporting small independent Scottish breweries.
Fantastic, Karen, and I have to say, if you're looking for a business to support up in Oban, I think Karen shop, and if you love good beer, should be your first point of call. Now, it's interesting what you've just been saying there about how you were getting into the breweries, etc. We've been talking off camera now. I believe there's an event happening in a couple of weeks. I've timed it wrong here, haven't I?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so can you tell us a bit about the event?
Well, last year the shop stumbled towards its 2nd birthday, and the idea came up of having a celebration that we'd made it. We made it to 2 years. So I put on an event in Oban, called it For the Love of Beer, and got 7 or 8 different breweries to come to Oban and pour their beers, and it was fantastic. It was so great. On the day when it all came together, obviously I was stressed out of my box, but I looked around the room and wished I was there with my mates. You know, everyone who was there was loving it. So after I came down from it all and thought about it, you know, the question was asked, are you going to go again? And I wasn't, and just because of everything that's been happening, I couldn't make up my mind. And then I spoke to one of the brewers who'd come to last year's event, and he immediately was 100%, I'll be there. So we decided to go again. And on the 18th of March, the shop celebrates its 3rd birthday, and the event is The Love of Beer.
Brilliant. So I'll obviously link to Karen's socials for this. Get yourself on there, and if you can get a ticket there. Having said that, it's not just for the festival. I think if you're up to Oban for the day, for the weekend, and you like your good beer, like Karen obviously does, you come up here and pop your head in. But no, I'm only gutted I'm not going to be at the festival. Can you just tell me some of the brewers that are actually going to be at it for the Love of Beer this year?
Yep, sure. I've got 2 guys returning, which is really lovely that they want to come back. One of them is Harry from Ducat, and the other one is Bob from Dog Falls. And then new to Oban for me are the guys from New Barns in Edinburgh.
Wow.
Holy Goat are coming. Ooh. Simple Things Fermentation. Yep. And Wasted Degrees.
Brilliant.
Hoping that I might get Toby Amori as well, the wee brewery that's kicked off in Mull. So it should be a great afternoon of fantastic beers.
Brilliant. I noticed on Wasted Degrees socials today they were brewing their Pilsner, so you never know, they might bring some of that over as well.
Yep.
And it's good to see you've had some breweries there that have appeared on the show here as well. Now we've had a wee flurry of activity there in the shop. It's a Friday afternoon, Karen, so thanks again for having us.
Not at all.
It's good to see you facing there, nice facing. We've just had a lovely wee chat off camera there, but I'd actually want to ask you about the shelving here, because the shelving is so rustic, very unusual. A bit of wood burning in there, or engraving in there. Can you tell us a wee bit about the shelving?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. The shop was a florist before, and everything had to be pulled out, and I had an idea of how I wanted it to look, and it was a very rustic looking place. It wasn't slick, it wasn't cool, it was about just, I don't know, an authentic chunky look. So I found out there's a place in Glasgow that recycles scaffolding boards, and essentially all the shelving has been made out of old scaffolding boards, and some of them have the names of the scaffolding companies.
That's amazing.
In the boards, and you see all these like up here, looks like big salamis, but but it looks great. I love it. I absolutely love it, and I love my drawbridge as well. Yep. You know, just with the nice big hinges, it all just ties in.
Yeah, it does. It's got a touch of the maritime about it, but it's I love the fact that you've upcycled these scaffolding pallets, scaffolds as well. I also just love all the wee packaging, the wee handwritten notes, everything.
Well, you know, that purely happened out of necessity, because I ended up opening a week earlier than I meant to open. Always planned to open at the end of March and give myself a week after I finished the job that I was in. but the pandemic was hurtling towards us, and I'd bought the beer and it was sitting in the shop, and it was a case of we just got to get this out there. We've just got to open and sell some beer. So my son came over to help, and I sat on a box madly writing up these little notes. It's like, what can we do that's quick and easy and whatever. And again, I'm never short of cardboard, so I just sat writing these, and he was sticking them up in the wall, and we just stayed with them, because when, if something's finished, they're just held on with blue tack, take it off, and write a new one, and it does all work in quite well.
It does indeed, and without being too stereotypical here as well, Karen, I think this place is made for you. Your passion is just phenomenal, but sometimes you do walk into places like this, and it might be a traditional, a guy with a beard, etc. that's on there. I love the fact that you're here. I love the fact that you're passionate about it.
At one point I thought about getting a mask, potentially of my son, because he's ginger with a beard and long hair, and he's in his 30s, so it's that hipster kind of vibe but I was like, no, I can only be me. And if people look through the window and they don't like what they see, because I'm maybe sat there doing my knitting or something, and they just see, and they think, oh no, I'm not going in there, well, it's their loss,
100%, and we've got a lot of viewers. Bilko and Brenny's podcast, Bilko and Friends podcast, sorry, we're all encompassing. We love everybody as long as you like the beer.
Yeah.
That's all it is to it. I love this. This is definitely a true. If I had all the money I spent on beer, I'd spend it on beer for the love of beer. That's just phenomenal. That's just amazing.
What can I say?
Yeah, it's amazing. So, I'm going to ask you to do me a favour, okay? Now, you might be shocked at this, but I would like you to pick me a cider. Now,
right, okay. Well, I discovered last year or the year before that Scottish cider is a thing.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
So I only keep a small stock of cider, but I've been trying to source it in Scotland. So this guy makes some really lovely cider he's a Caledonian cider company, and this one is aged in Islay casks, so it's got a peaty smokiness to it, which is rather lovely. And then this guy is, I think he's Aberdeenshire, Easterton, and the Halfway Wild is really, really nice as well. So I would say, depending on your particular taste, if you like the idea of a sort of smoky peaty cider, then you would go for this one. If you're not so sure, then the Halfway Wild is really lovely as well.
I'm going to be sold on the Islay cask there, if that's okay. I'll have one of those.
Sold.
Can I just pop this in as well? I love how you've got a wee couple of bottles of Olivers there.
Yeah.
One of the... I was down in Nottingham recently, and they were raving about Olivers.
Yeah, it's just a random, there it was. And it's lovely. It's a really nice cider. Wasted Degrees have just brought out their cider for this year, and it's heading to the shop in a couple of weeks' time.
Brilliant,
so
brilliant.
Grab
some of that while you can, folks, because that's limited edition, I believe.
Yes, it is. Very limited. Yes.
The other thing I just wanted to ask you about, sorry, Karen, as well, is there's a brewery that I did touch on 2 or 3 years ago. It was Wild Barn.
Yep.
And I noticed you've got a couple of Wild Barn cans here as well.
Yes.
Can you tell us anything about that brewery at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, it's kind of local. I get asked what's local all the time, and Wild Barn is Fort William, so it's just up the road.
Yeah.
And the brewer was a really nice guy from Belgium called Simon Delvaux, but he moved back to Belgium and he sold the brewery to Fort William family, and it's father and son that brew now, but they brew part-time because they have other jobs.
Yeah.
So they're finding their way and, just trying to come up with products that sell well. They learnt Simon's recipes. He sold them his recipes, I think, as part of the deal. I don't know the ins and outs of it. So far, the beers have all been beers that Simon originally brewed, and they're now rebrewing. And they sell well just because it's close to here. It's something a bit different, and you just want to support these small businesses.
100%. So I'm going to ask you, what would you say is your best sellers in here, Karen? Do you have it?
Well, one that sells a lot is it's not just because of the can, but so many people, it catches their eye. There's nothing, there's no other can like that. Yeah. So I sell a lot of that, even if the style is not always everybody's favourite, they'll buy the can because it looks amazing. And it's a beautiful beer in a hot sunny day. So, and I love that the brewer is a Glasgow brewer, but the can artwork is from an Oban company, which is amazing. Daniel Freitag is an Oban graphic designer.
Fantastic.
And he designed that label, so that's really cool.
Wow.
The other one I sell loads of is a Schofferhofer, because it's just juice. It's just juice, isn't it? It's a great morning beer. I shouldn't say that, but it's a great morning beer. But really, apart from that, it just depends, it's just a little bit of everything. A lot of the fine ales, again, because they're local.
Yeah, 100%.
So they're there because they can't not be.
100%. I'd love a Yarrow, and I will be trying a wee cask Yarrow somewhere in Oban tonight if I can find one.
Excellent. Well, you should be able to. I hope so.
I have to say, Karen, I did not know that about the best named, the best designed can of all time. Das's Techno Sex, and I'm coming for you, mate. I'm coming for you. You're going to have to agree to speak to me at some point. All right, Jake. You know it. He
was up last year from a festival.
Yep. So
quite
Jake,
a character.
Would love to speak to you, Jake. Obviously, we've got the big hitters there as well. And of course, we could actually go through this all day. I've got one question for you, Karen, before I finish up. Now, I ask every single person about this, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot. If you had one beer and you had to have it for the rest of your life, what would it be? Brilliant, absolutely no hesitation, an absolute class. See, because you did that so quickly, I'm going to allow you another one. If you can...
I'd struggle with a second, but I love that. But that's maybe a bit on the heavy side. So
can we just touch on Tempest a wee second? Probably, I don't think personally Tempest gets the recognition they deserve. I think Tempest is amazing. And they were my first ever 10 out of 10 beer, which was that one. And everybody I speak to is like, oh, you like that? Wait till you try the Mexicake. And I'm loving the fact you picked that. Is there any beers that are not in here that can be a world beer? It doesn't have to be Scottish.
Well, you know what? Augustina Hellslager. How can you not like that beer? It's just great. It's a really and purity laws are great in that you know what you're going to get. It's
100%.
Every time. So as a contrast to the Mexicake.
That would be perfect on a desert island on a sunny day like today in Oban.
When it's cold, you need a warm up, you have the Mexicake. When it's hot and sunny, you just crack open your Augustina.
Brilliant. Now, just before I just noticed as well, we've also got some lovely tote bags. We've got some merch here on the go here, which are lovely for carrying your beer in. I see you've got the beanies in as well, which are fantastic. The beanies are just phenomenal.
And we also have...
we've got the hoodie as well. The team one, so that looks amazing as well. So it's not just beer. So if you're coming up here, get your beers, grab a tote bag, grab a beanie, grab a hoodie, but most importantly, come in and say hello to Karen.
That would be great, I'd love that.
Enough said, troops. Get yourself involved. So after a quick pint, we went up to McCaigs Tower, also known as McCaigs Folly. Wee bit of a Gaudi theme. There was actually knitted lampposts on the wee power station. Amazing. Definitely worth the walk. Took maybe about 20 minutes to get up there. And I believe it was built to keep the local masons and the local workers occupied. A bit like Firish actually up in Sutherland. And as you can see, it's a stunning location. And we get some amazing views, and it was just fabulous weather. Alright, trips, we're at McCaigs Tower. We've got the bonny Isle of Kerrera on the background there. You might be able to see it if my fine camera person actually does it. So we're going to crack open a wee bee here. We've got a dog Falls Brewing from Inverness, brewed sustainably in the Highlands. It was recommended this by Karen at the Oban Beer Seller. Thanks a lot for your time today, Karen. You're an absolute superstar. So it's split the 3 New England IPA, 7.2% IPA. It's not been in the fridge, so I would say room temperature, but it's kind of like better than room temperature, isn't it? Up here in the Highlands, isn't it, Debs? Have you had a good day walking up that big hill? You've done really well. That's a fine looking colour. I think it's Bob that runs this brewer. Spoken to Bob a couple of times. He's just moved into some nice few premises. I have to say, wow, just look at that in the can. It's a lovely glass. Not sure if you can see the glass with sun being so good. Don't even know if you can see the colour. It's an absolute belter. So yeah, nice Kerrera. Perfect for a day-to-day big hop. You know, the distinct Dog Falls Brewing hop. I'm just going to pop this down. You maybe want to come this way, Bears, while I get this. So here we go. Cheers, trips. I can hardly see a thing, man. Thank goodness I've got the shades on, eh? So, cheers. Let's see where Rob's come up with this time. It's hoppy. It's holding its hand. Phenomenal. It's a beautiful colour. I have to say that's an absolute cracker for Dog Falls. Thanks, Karen, for influencing me on this one, choosing this one for me. I'm really delighted I had it. What's my mark out of 10? My mark out of 10 on this one is it's a good beer. I'm stopping 10 marks out of 10. Cheers, trips. So we've got Isle of Kerrera, Isle of Mull, Hutchison's Monument, Duart Castle, Lismore Lighthouse, Morven, Isle of Lismore. Our hotels are about there, isn't it, babes? We've been doing the Oban Beer Seller, which is round about there, I believe. We are here. Richie FM, check him out. I think this view says it all. Absolutely stunning place to have a quiet drink. And as we said goodbye to McCaigs Folly, we bumped into a local called Sandy. He regaled us. He actually does a tour at the War Museum free of charge. And he told us about all the good pubs to go to Oban, and there was numerous ones. But we settled for the Oban Inn, the oldest pub in Oban. We got some scran and settled in for the evening. So we woke up the next day and it was exactly the same. Just stunning. Thought we'd take some scenic shots. And it's sometimes, you know, Bilko, you need to shut up. You just need to shut up and let the pictures do the talking. So I'm going to do that. The Gallanach to Oban to Kerrera, or whatever it is. Basically it took us 2.5 miles to walk there. It was brilliant. But it's the shortest Calmac ferry in Scotland, I believe. What a wee journey it is. If you get up to Oban, you get a chance. Just do it. Do it, man. Alright trips, here we are on a brisk Saturday morning. Coots Graphics, say hello to trips.
Hiya.
So, it's not all about beer and Bilko and Friends podcast. You've heard of geocaching? Well, today, what are we going to do?
Geocaching.
Geocaching. So, yeah, wee bit of geocaching for the trips. We have a lovely view, Kerrera. Literally half a mile away from Oban. Ferry was £3.40 return. What an absolute bargain. Aye, it's a bonny place. Alright troops, here we are on the island of Kerrera, and as I said, we don't do geocaching. What do? We do beer-ocaching. There we go. We've got a brass castle brewery, what else would it be? With a castle in the background, and it's sunshine because it's such a sunshine day. And I did bring a wee glass from Simple Things Fermentations as well. So Coots Graphics, would you like to take over here, please?
Is this right behind?
Yeah. So, as I said, we've got a Brass Castle Brewery Sunshine India Pale Ale coming in at 5.7%, gluten free, and it's described as a brassy India Pale Ale. Aye, not bad. Phil brought the glassware. So this was recommended by Karen yesterday. She said it was one of our decent sellers. Based down south. Going to be a bit fizzy because it's been in the rucksack. But let's get this cracked open. Oh, it smells lovely. Let's see what it looks like. Oh wow. Now, before you say it, Bilko did an absolute belter. Just bearing in mind it's taken us how long? About an hour and a half to get here. There you go. And it actually looks really good in the glass there. Oh, nice wee bit of overspill, would you call that? I don't know what you'd call it anyway, but anyway, enough talking for me. I'm going to suck this. I might end up with a wee bit of a frothy moustache here. Oh wow. I would describe it in the old school. Definitely a wee bit of brassiness in terms of the colour and the taste. It's an old school IPA. It's actually really nice. Perfect for the sunshine. Very refreshing. Yep. Reminds me of a lot of kind of English old school India Pale Ales, this one. Definitely, dare I say it, some nuttiness to it. I'm going to have to just go back in again. Yep, resinous as well. There is quite a lot of nuttiness coming through that. That's a very, very good, well brewed beer. So not encouraging you to do this, trips. But if you are in Oban and you do have the chance, I would come over here. Definitely check out the craft beer cellar in Oban, and 100% if you can get away with it, bring a can because you deserve a wee reward, don't you, Coots Graphics? Oh, she's nonplussed by it all. I don't know if the camera shrugged there, but what have you got? What have you got? You've got a wee lemon curd pie, and I've got a chip and chocolate pecan. So, cheers, trips. Coots Graphics. Would you like a bit of my Tiffin?
Yes.
Okay. She has had the miniest bit of my Tiffin. I'm going to get this Tiffin tanned. Can't eat with your mouth full. So on it was to Guyland Castle on the far tip of Kerrera. A natural beauty, a real historic place where they used to drink beer and food. And then we worked our way back to the ferry. You know, the great thing about Oban, it was the people, the scenery, it was just wonderful. We kept bumping into Alec and Laurie along the way, and as we went back on the ferry, we told stories about how beautiful the island of Kerrera was and the town of Oban. So we decided to go for a quick dram in the Oban Inn. I had a Macallan 12, I believe Alec had a Oban 14. Fiona and Laurie chatted away, and we just talked about the next time we'd visit Oban. Thank you, Oban.